Hello and welcome back. Sorry it's been a while. I've been quite unwell. So yeah, spending time researching then doing videos seemed a bit too... But anyway, we are back. And I'm going to talk about time slips. I've never actually heard of them described as time slips. More just, well, they're just parallel universes. So yeah, although the second story, I don't know if you can really call it a time slip, but maybe just parallel universes, so bloody blah, whatever. First story is of a lady called Lorena Garcia Gordo. This was 2008, 41 years old, and she was living in Denia, Spain? Denia? Whatever. So one morning she wakes up, as usual, as you do, and she noticed that her bed sheets looked different. They were unrecognisable. And yeah, I guess she just thought, okay, well, I'll just get on with my day. So she brushed that aside, even though I'd be like, I don't think I could get over that first, like, what? Do you know what I mean? Because your bed sheets are your bed sheets. You can't wake up and not recognise your bed sheets. You chose your bed sheets, do you know what I mean? So she brushed this feeling aside and went to work. When she got to work, however, she sort of goes in and she's kind of just looking around at people like, I don't recognise you. I don't know who you are. Who are you? So there are a lot of people there that she just doesn't recognise. She doesn't know who these people are. But she's like, I guess she just thinks, okay, whatever. Goes to her office door, just happens to look at the name on the door, and she sees that it's not her name. So of course she's like, what the hell is going on? So she logs on to one of the computers and I don't know how she finds, I guess, whatever. But she finds out from them that she does actually work there, but she's just in a completely different department. So what the hell? Thankfully, though, her family were still all the same. There wasn't like an extra member or a member less or anything like that. But she said to her sister, like, how did your shoulder surgery go? And her sister's like, what are you talking about? My shoulder's fine. Even though Lorena distinctly remembers her sister going in for shoulder surgery, but then her shoulder is fine. So what's going on now? But the biggest thing, I suppose, really was that affected her like proper personal life was that she remembered being in a 4-month relationship with a man that was going so well that she'd even met his son, but she was actually still in a relationship with her ex-boyfriend, who she remembered being with for 6 months and breaking up with him. I mean, that has got to suck. Like, that is shit. Can you imagine breaking up with someone, getting with someone else who's so lovely, you meet their son, and you wake up and it's reversed. You're actually still with your ex. Okay. She actually, so this is after, because she goes to the doctor, blah, blah. But anyway, after that, she basically apparently hires a private investigator to see if they can hunt down or find the person who she thought she was in a relationship with and his son. And they couldn't find any trace of him, both of them. Like, it was like they just didn't exist. How mad is that? Like, you've just... This is, I don't know. Before that happened, Lorena went to the doctors and said, help me, like, I've woken up and I don't recognise so many things in my life. I feel like I'm in a different world. So the doctors do tests, they, check for drugs and alcohol in her system, things like that. She's clean. So they give her a clean bill of health and basically just send her on her way. because I guess what else can they do? Lorena did what I guess any of us would really do in this day and age, and took to the internet to share her experience. She was basically like, I need help. I've woken up in a completely different world. My boyfriend is not my boyfriend. Well, my ex-boyfriend is now my boyfriend, even though I thought my boyfriend was someone different. My job is not the same. Things with my family are different. Like, what is happening to me? So then people then come to the conclusion that she is suffering from a time slip. So basically she's woken up. Well, the way I see it is that she's woken up in the past, because obviously she's still with her ex-boyfriend and things like that. But it doesn't make sense, if that is the case, that she doesn't recognise her bed sheets. Surely she would remember them from previous bed sheets. Or that her boyfriend that she thought was her boyfriend with the son doesn't exist anymore. Because if she was suffering from a time slip, they would still exist. She just wouldn't have met them yet. And surely her sister as well would be having issues with her shoulder to then need surgery. Because she shouldn't, like, surely she can't have gone back in time that far. However, I did read this bit online and I left it out because I thought I couldn't find it anywhere else, so I thought it was just a load of made up bullshit. But basically, apparently, she woke up, saw the unrecognisable bed sheets, etc. But then she was driving down the road and suddenly was transported to another reality where everyone was dressed like they were in the 70s. And stuff like that. I didn't read too much into it, but because I was like, that's not true, is it? Like, that story, that side of the story didn't show up anywhere else, so I just thought, I'm going to leave that out. Well, I didn't leave it out, obviously, I just said about it, but that was completely weird. But yet she was still in her car, and her car worked fine, so don't really get it. But anyway, so that was that story. So basically, she just had to accept her new reality. And did she just break up with her boyfriend again instantly and say, look, I've done this before, like, I'm breaking up with you? I can't think of anything worse than waking up and finding out that your reality is no longer your reality. Like, I've been with my boyfriend for nearly 9 years. I can't imagine, like, waking up in a different house, or like waking up, let's say, in my parents' house, and I'm just like 20 years old again, single, and I have to do all that again. Do you know what I mean? That's just so messed up. Let's talk about our next one. Most people have probably heard this story about this guy. Well, his name online is James Richards. That's not his real name, but he basically falls into another universe where the Beatles never broke up, and there's an album that he takes, and that song, I think it is literally, there is a website called thebeatlesneverbroakeup.com. Something like that, where you can listen to the album and stuff like that. But anyway, so it was September 2009. James was driving his car down Del Puerto Canyon Road in California when he had to pull over because his dog needed a wee-wee. So he pulls over, lets his dog out. He's obviously holding them on a lead, I suppose. Or he might not be, actually. The dog sees a rabbit, so the dog legs it after this rabbit. And James goes after him and ends up tripping and hitting his head. So he wakes up in this strange place. He's got a bandage on his head. And this guy walks in. So he's in a strange house, basically. This guy walks through and introduces himself as Jonas. And he's like, I found you on the floor, so I brought you in and helped you. So James was very grateful. Thank you for doing that. Where's my dog? Oh, it's fine, your dog's here. So the dog is with him, thankfully. James notices that the sound coming from outside is different to what he would expect. So the road that he was on is quite rural and quiet, but outside he can hear a lot of, I suppose, noise, car noise, people, stuff like that, seeming like it was from quite a busy street. Jonas actually explained to him that he was in a parallel universe and that time machines were quite popular in this universe, and that just sounds stupid. And yeah, and they spent hours chatting. Jonas actually made him a meal. James said that everything was normal about this meal, apart from that the ketchup was purple. And then they began talking a lot about music, and that's when Jonas was talking about how the Beatles were still together, still touring, all of the members were alive. And Jonas had a lot of cassette tapes because apparently CDs hadn't caught on in this universe, so everything was on a cassette tape. There were different versions of the same albums that we know them as, if that makes sense. The album covers looked different, that kind of thing, but they were called the same thing. But then there were a couple of albums that were different. They didn't exist in our timeline. So just before Jonas transported James back to his universe, James snuck one of the cassette tapes with the album on it called Everyday Chemistry, which doesn't exist in our timeline. So yeah, I suppose this is obviously his way of proving where he'd just been, sort of thing. But people have said that the songs on this album just sounded like mashups of existing Beatles songs. So if he would really wanted to be mad enough to fake it all, James could have mixed some songs up and just said they were new songs. Well, it sounded like mashups of solo songs from the Beatles. So people have then also said that it could be true, but it's likely that the songs will sound similar to existing songs because, well, solo songs all coming together, like all the members will have, like, will put their own spin on it, so it's not unusual for the songs to sound like each of their solo songs put together. Does that make sense? But anyway, what do you think about that one? I think that one's very strange. The purple ketchup thing gets me as well. It's like really random, but also like so obviously Jonas just happened to time travel, or like travel to an alternate reality. It's not even time travel. It's traveling to a completely different universe, like parallel. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's gone back in time, because ketchup was never purple. He's just gone to a different alternate reality somehow, seen this guy fall, took him back with him and was like, check this out, and then just taken him back home. Why would you do that? And also, how does that happen, really? But anyway, weird stories, don't understand it. Do you believe any of them? I would believe the Lorena one. Beatles one, I don't know, that's just weird. That's too out there for me. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully see you again next week, and goodbye. Don't fall in any wormholes, and just be careful, okay? Just be careful. Not like you can help it at all, but yeah.